Assalamu alaikum. At the previous lessons, we talked about the consumer behavior, focusing on the individual consumer behavior. We defined the consumer behavior and the importance of consumer behavior and the different features of it, and also the different factors that influence the behavior of the different consumer when taking the buying decisions of different products and services. Now today in this new lesson we are going to take another topic related to the previous one, but concerning the organizational buyer behavior of group market, which means that we will focus on the organizational buyers, not the individuals, but the organization, like the businesses, companies, different institutions that buy or taking buying decisions with large quantity of products or packages of services, like in our example, in our topic about the tourism, hospitality, travel, airlines, restaurants, catering, and so on. Let's start with this quote. As we use, the ideal salesperson in the company meetings segment isn't a salesperson in the traditional sense, but rather the problem solver. So, who is the ideal salesperson? The one who is problem solver, not only the salesperson with the traditional sales. The objectives of our chapter: to understand the organizational buying process, how the organizations, not the individuals, but we are talking now about the organizations, take the buying decision, and what is the buying process, the different steps that organizations take for buying decisions. Also to identify and discuss the importance of the participants in the organizational buying process, to identify the major influences on the organizational buyers, to list the different stages of the organizational buying process, and finally identify and describe the group markets in the hospitality industry. When we talk about the organizational buying process, we refer to the structure, the market structure and demand, as the organizational demand is derived demand. It comes from ultimately from the demand for consumer goods or services. So the organizational buying decisions tend to be more complex than the consumer decisions. Why? Because the organizational buying process tends to be more formal than the consumer process. It is about the relations between different companies or organizations, institutions, and so on, contractual agreements for long-term period and for larger quantity or packages and so on. So it's more complicated and have many legal details and so on. So the participants in this organizational buying process, it's not a one person or individual person that he will think or compare and take this buying decision individually after influenced by the different factors, but it is an organizational process. There is a lot of elements inside the organization and so on. So the buying center is all those individuals. So we have many individuals now and groups who participate in the purchasing decision-making process. So inside the organization, we have many individuals or groups, administrations, and so on. So they all have to participate in the purchasing decision-making process. This decision-making is not easy like the individual decision. Who share common goals and risks arising from these decisions. These individuals or group inside the organization have common goals, okay, and also they are responsible for the risks arising from the decisions or the buying decision that they will take. What is the rules included in the for the participants in the organizational buying process? We have the users of this service, the influencers, the deciders, the approvers, the buyers, the gatekeepers, and so on. So there's the people who will directly use this product or this service, and also so they have to express their needs and wants and the problems they face inside the organization. So their needs and wants will be fulfilled by the buying decision that will take by the other parties or participants in this process. Also, the influencers, they are not the direct users but have higher influence on them. Also, the deciders who take the approval or decisions and so on. The buyers who will take the procedures for buying, and the gatekeepers. Now we'll talk about the major influences on the organizational buyers. Now we know the organizational buying decision and process and different participants in this process. So what is the major influences on the organizational buyers? We have the wider influence or factor, the environmental, means the level of primary demand, and also the economic outlook surrounding the organization in the region, in the country, and so on, the cost of money, the supply conditions, whether there's available suppliers for these products or services or not, rate of the technological change, and the political and regulatory system in the country, and the development of these political and regulations, and also the competitive developments, the other competitors in the market, and so on. This is the wide environmental or the external environment surrounding the organization. Inside the organization, we have the organizational influences, like the objectives of the organizations, and also the objectives from taking the decision, the buying decision, also the policies of the wide or the broad policies of the organization, the detailed procedures that the organization work upon and depends on this, and also the organizational structure and management and hierarchy and so on, and finally the systems according to the organization works. Then also inside the organization, the interpersonal, the relation between the different individuals inside the organization. There is the authority at the top of the hierarchy of the organization, the status, the empathy, the persuasiveness between all these interpersonal relationships. And also we have the individuals, every individual separately in the organization. They are influenced by many factors like the age of them, the education of the level of education of every one of them, the job position of these individuals inside the organization, the personality of them, and the risk attitudes. So every individual have different age, different education level, different position in the organization, different characteristics and personality and attitudes, and so on. And finally, we have the buyers who will take the executive procedures for buying decision. So the process of the organizational buying decision, as we said, and as we see in the individual consumer behavior, also the organizations have a process for buying decision, but it's more different. First, we have a problem recognition, and then general need description, product specification, supplier research, proposal solution, supplier selection, order routine specification, and performance review. Let's take everyone in details. First, we have the problem recognition, in which someone in a company recognize a problem or need that can be met by acquiring a good or a service. So inside the organization, one of the employees or individuals inside the organization or the company faces a problem in his administration or department. This problem should be solved by buying some kind of goods or services or so on. For example, some problems, if we are talking about the hospitality and tourism and so on, maybe some employees who are responsible for travel and make meetings globally or overseas and so on. So they may face some problems concerning the accommodation and airlines and traveling and these kind of issues. So this is some examples for the problems that may face this organization. After recognizing the problem that they face, there is the general need description. They have to describe this general need, which means when a company describes the general characteristics and the quantity of a needed item. Let's think about it. What are some items that would be included in a general needs description for a training meeting? They are, مثلا, for this example, delegation from this company is traveling to take a training meeting and so on. So they may face some problems. They have some needs to be fulfilled, maybe concerning the size of the meetings halls or the types of the or times of the maybe the food and beverage and so on, and the something related to the accommodation or the airlines that the company uses and so on. They may face some problems concerning conducting this training meeting. Then the organization have to specify the products. So now we have a problem and we describe the needs of our individuals inside the organization. So the product specification is when the buying organization, where the organization who wants to buy a product or a service, decides on and specifies the best technical product characteristics for a needed item. When they specify the best technical product characteristics for a needed item. So let's think about what are some items that would be included in a product specification description for a training meeting. Maybe there is some items missing in this at the facilities of the training meeting, other than the size or the space of the place. Maybe also the facilities like the boards and projectors, laptops, pointers, a lot of things. So maybe they need to specify what kind of facilities, what characteristics, and the specific the features of these items or these tools that they need. Also, they have to make a supplier search. So when you identify your problem and your needs and the characteristics of the items that you want, you have to find some suppliers. When we talk about the organization, it's not like the individual. The individual will go to one shop or any retailer to buy the product that he wants, but for the organization, they need large quantities and packages and so on. So they are searching for another organization, another supplier, so have the abilities and capabilities to provide the organization with large quantity of this product or service. So supplier search is when a buyer tries to find the best vendor, the best supplier for this kind of services. I have to, and if we think about what are the best ways for buyers to identify suppliers, they have to search about, for example, if they have problem with the traveling, they have to search about the different airlines companies like Singapore Airlines or Turkish Airlines or Uzbek Airlines or Egypt Airlines or Dubai flights and so on. So they have to search about the best supplier of this service for their delegations, and we have the best who introduce and offer the best quality with reasonable price. And also the same thing if they are trying to find a hotel or restaurants to make some business dinners or something like that. So they have to try to find this supplier who can provide this service with a large quantity and on time and in a good quality and reasonable price for a long term. Then they propose the solution. Proposal solution is when qualified suppliers are invited to submit proposals. Now, the suppliers that we find many suppliers in the market, everyone have to, when we ask from them to propose or introduce a proposal, so the qualified suppliers are invited to submit these proposals to the organization. So let's think about what are the some important tools for writing and researching proposals. Suppliers should include in these proposals the different items that they can offer for the organization in a detailed manner and clear manner. Also, they have to include the details of these services and products and the features of these products and all the facilities that they will offer in this package or this quantity of products, and also the prices, the perfect or the exact prices, and also if there is any offers or discounts or promotions they will introduce to the organization, and also the term of the contracting agreement and the ability of the supplier to introduce this service for a long term. All these details should be included in the proposal asked from the supplier. According to these proposals, the organization, the specialists and responsibles in the organization will study all these proposals, and according to these proposals, they can select the perfect or the reasonable supplier for this product or service. So supplier selection is when a buyer, the organization as a buyer, receives the proposals from the suppliers and selects a supplier or many suppliers for different products or services. So what are the attributes that meeting planners consider when selecting the allocation? So the order routine specification, when a buyer writes the final order with the chosen supplier, listing the technical specifications, the quantity needed, expected time of delivery, return policies, the warranties, and so on. This is the order routine specification after selecting the supplier or many suppliers to provide this service or this product. The buyer writes a final order to this supplier that's choosing one and list in this order the technical specifications and the quantity needed and the expected time of delivery of this product or service and the return policy. What if there is some problems with the delivered products and so on? So there is return policies and also the warranties of this product. So for example, if we have a hotel and needs a supplier to supply such kind of materials and foods and for the restaurants inside the hotel, and also the drinks and beverages and or many other facilities regarding the health club or the spa or the swimming pool or the many different activities inside the hotel. All these products are provided by different suppliers. So when they are buying this stuff, they have to get warranties for many of them, and also the expected time of delivery and the quantity needed and the technical specifications, and also the return policies should be listed in the final order that this hotel make for the suppliers. Then we have the performance review. The performance review is when a buyer rates its satisfaction with the supplier. It's like control or the feedback about this after the using of this product or service. The buyer rates the satisfaction or dissatisfaction, the positiveness or negativeness of these suppliers, and deciding whether to continue with this supplier or not, to modify the contract or the agreement or not, or to drop the relationship. So in the group business markets, we have the conventions, the association meetings, the corporate meetings, the incentive travels, the social and military, educational and religious and the fraternal organizations. And dealing with the meeting planners, the hotel salesperson must look for items that will create value for the meeting planner. The hotel salesperson must look for items that will create value for the meeting planner without creating costs or sacrificing the revenue for the hotel. And the meeting planners expect timeliness and efficiency at the same time. Timeliness and efficiency. So we can see here that the salesperson of a hotel look for the items that will create value for meeting the planner without creating cost for sacrificing the revenue for the hotel. He has to satisfy the customer needs, which is an organization in this case, and without lost any revenue for the hotel who works for. The corporate account and corporate travel manager, the highly sought after segment. So you have to think about the target segment and your customers and so on. They offer, for example, from 10% to 40%. We are now talking about the corporate account, such kind of account made between the organization. Yani a company, for example, or a corporation make open an account with some hotel that they will agree about a long-term contract and with a specific price or specific rate less than the other normal customers, and also they more likely to use hotel services like the restaurants and laundry and so on. So when a company sends some delegation to another country, so sure they will use the services of the hotel like the restaurants and laundry and so. You can find this case study in the textbook. It will be useful if you read it and give me your feedback, then we can maybe discuss later. And also you have to learn this key terms that we talk about now. It will be in details also in the textbook. The buying center, what is a buying center, the convention, the corporate meeting, the derived demand, the general need description, the incentive travel, the order routine specification, and the organizational buying process and the different steps of this process, the performance review, the problem recognition, and the product specification and supplier research, and finally the supplier selection, and how each stage of this buying organizational buying process is done in details. So thank you. See you next lesson inshallah, and goodbye and good luck.